Hello, my name is Ben from Ben Stacey Solutions and I'm really excited about today's video. Today we are going to do our shotgun shootout. So a couple of weeks ago I set up a bunch of microphones in here and I recorded it and spoke into each of the microphones, and then I've been listening back to that audio to get an idea of what they all sound like and the pros and cons of each of those microphones. And so today what I'm going to do is give you a review of those, but we're also going to look at how you can use those. So once I've done the review and picked out some microphones, I'm going to make some recommendations. In fact, I'm going to make 3 recommendations of microphones for you. And once I've done that, I'm going to look at how we can actually use them and what specific jobs they might have in a church context. There's a few things I want to say to you before we start this video, ground rules if you like. First of all, this is not a scientific test. This was just me setting up some microphones, speaking into them, and then giving you my opinion on them. As you listen to the audio, you might hear different things to what I heard. You might spot something in particular that stands out to you that you think actually could work really well in your context, and that's great. When you watch this video, I'd recommend that you use some headphones or some kind of speakers to monitor back through. I would recommend these, the SoundMagic E10s. No, don't worry, we're not going there again. But I would recommend that you put some headphones on or listen through some kind of speakers. When you're reviewing microphones and the sound quality of microphones, it's really good that you can do that accurately and do that well. So make sure you've got some kind of good speakers or headphones that you can listen to so you can hear clearly the differences between these microphones as we go through. Some of these microphones are mics that I've had in my kit for quite a long time, and particularly some of the Technica microphones have now actually changed their model number. The microphones themselves haven't really changed at all, they've just changed the name of them. Some of them that you'll find that I'm using are actually an older model, but they have a modern equivalent, and I'll give both names in the description as we go through. And finally, in the review, I demonstrate the microphones straight down the middle in what we call the on-axis position, so straight down the middle of the microphone. And then I step off to the side to show what that sound is going to be like as you move sideways off the microphone. However, you need to remember that a microphone picks up in a circular pattern around the centre of the microphone. So stepping off to the side would be exactly the same as stepping up above or being below, so it's the equivalent of having a very tall person or a very short person using this microphone. It doesn't matter whether you go sideways, up, down, the response is going to be the same in all directions. Okay, so we're going to do this shotgun shootout. So we're lined up along here. We have got 6 shotgun microphones. We've actually got 7 microphones lined up. 6 of them are shotguns. 1 of them is just a bog standard cardioid condenser microphone, just so that we can have an A/B against what other people might sometimes use instead of a shotgun. And you can see why a shotgun works so much better than just a bog standard cardioid condenser microphone. But we'll come on to that one in a minute. So first of all, let's just go down the line. We can listen to what they all sound like and compare the differences between the two. All the microphones are set up 50 centimeters from where I'm standing to the front of the microphones all the way down the line. I think that should give a fairly fair example of what it would be like on, say, a lectern position. That's a good distance away for a lectern, just over 18 inches, so it's a fairly sizable distance away from the microphones, and should give a nice even response across all the microphones. We can compare them all directly, one after another. Other things to mention, we've got plus 35 dB of gain and no EQ whatsoever. I've turned all the bass roll-off switches off on all the microphones. There's no bass roll-off, completely flat, no EQ, just exactly as they would sound without anything being done to them. So obviously you could improve the sound beyond this, but this is baseline, everything's set the same. 35 dB of gain, 50 centimeters away, completely flat. Let's see what they sound like. Okay, so this is the AT815R. It's the longest microphone at 46 centimeters long. It is now actually discontinued, but it's got a replacement microphone which is called the Audio-Technica AT8015, and that currently retails for £375. But this is the AT815R, straight on, straight down the middle, stepping off to the side slightly. This is what it sounds like from the side. If we move away from the side slightly, back into the middle again, this is the AT815R. Okay, so up number 2 we have the Audio-Technica AT835B. Again, this microphone is now discontinued but has been replaced by a new model called the AT8035. The AT8035 currently retails for about £340, so a little bit less, and it's a bit shorter at 37 centimetres, and this is what this sounds like. Talking down the middle of the AT835B, moving off to the side of the AT835B, that's quite hard to say actually, moving back into the middle, AT835B, moving down the line. So, number 3. This is the Audio-Technica AT897. This is actually the microphone that we use at our church. So this is my church's microphone. This one is 28 centimetres long, so a little bit shorter again. And the retail price on these is about £240. So again, this has come down in price. AT897, so this is straight down the middle. AT897, AT897, moving off to the side, moving off to the side, moving back into the middle again, AT897. Moving on again, so this time we are onto a Sony microphone. This is the Sony ECM674. Sony ECM674. This microphone is very similar length to the last one. This is a 27 centimetre long compared to the last one at 28 centimetres long, so very similar in length. But this microphone is one of the more expensive microphones. So this microphone retails for about £450. So it's a big jump up in price onto this one. Straight down the middle, Sony ECM674, moving off to the side, moving off to the side, moving back into the middle, Sony ECM674 microphone. Okay, so now we're moving back onto an Audio-Technica microphone. This is the AT875R. This is a nice little microphone. This is 17.5 centimetres long, so a bit shorter again. So we're getting quite a lot shorter now. This is very comparable to a standard pencil condenser microphone in terms of its length and size and shape. This looks like a pencil condenser. Retail price on this is only 165 quid, so this is really dropped down in price, 165. This is about the cheapest microphone that we've got on the lineup today. In fact, this is the cheapest microphone that we've got on the lineup today at £165. So we're talking straight down the middle of the AT875R, AT875R down the middle, moving off to the side, AT875R off the side, moving back into the middle again, AT875R straight down the middle. Okay, so we're now on to our last of our shotgun microphones. This is the AKG C747. It's a really miniature microphone. So this microphone is only 14 centimeters long. It's also the most expensive microphone that we have. So this one is retailing at the minute for about £650. AKG C747, the last of our line plus gradient shotgun microphones, straight down the middle, moving off to the side, AKG C747, and moving back into the middle of the AKG C747 microphone. Now I did say that I've got another microphone lined up here as well. I've got an Audio-Technica ATM33A. Now this microphone is a straightforward cardioid condenser microphone. It's a very typical pencil condenser, nothing particularly special about it. It's a fairly reasonable pencil condenser microphone. The retail price on this is about £190. So it's quite a good quality microphone, and it would be a reasonable alternative to a lectern microphone from any of these others. In terms of its size, it's just short of 20 centimetres, about 19.5 centimetres. Very typical pencil condenser microphone. But we're going to do a quick A/B between two other microphones. So I'm going to A/B it against the 875R, which is the little one, which is just about here. And I'm also going to A/B it against the AT897, which, as I say, that's the one that our church owns and uses. So I'm going to compare it against those two so you can see how a cardioid condenser would compare to a shotgun microphone. So this is the Audio Technica ATM33A. There's a new version of this, which is the AT8033. I've put exactly the same amount of gain and no EQ on this microphone in the same way that I've done on all the others. So you can compare exactly cardioid condenser microphone versus... So this is versus the AT875R. So this is now onto a shotgun microphone as opposed to the cardioid condenser that we were on before. So let's jump back onto the cardioid condenser. Cardioid condenser microphone. Hopefully you can hear the difference there between those two. And then now from this microphone back onto the AT897. As I say, this is the one that we have at our church. This is the one that we use. So hopefully again you can hear the difference there between those two microphones and how much more level we're getting out of the shotgun microphone as opposed to the cardioid condenser. So that was our quick look at those microphones. We've run down that line. I was talking into those microphones. We had them set up so I could talk straight down the middle of the microphone, and then, as I say, moving off to the side, moving back into the middle again, down that line so you can compare one against another and hear what those all sounded like. I'm going to give you my thoughts on those and I'll let you know what I think to them all. But there might have been things in there that you listened to, that you heard, that you thought, yeah, for me that would work really well, or for me that wouldn't work at all. That's exactly what I'm looking for, or that isn't at all going to do what I want it to do. So by all means, take away from that video what you thought and what you heard, because you're going to know your situation better than I am. But these are my thoughts. This is what I thought to those microphones, and maybe this might help direct your thoughts a little bit as well. So starting off with the AT815R, this is the microphone that actually, I don't have it here because it's there. It's just above the camera shot and it's picking me up for this video. It's the microphone that I use to make these videos with. It's a great sounding microphone. I think it sounds nice and flat and even and very natural sounding. There's a lot of crisp detail in it. And if you're straight down the line on it, if you're talking on axis, it sounds great. The downside of this microphone is that as soon as you move off axis, as soon as you move off to the side, that sound starts to break up quite quickly. Now that actually is what you're looking for generally in a shotgun microphone. This microphone is doing exactly what it should do. It's working really, really well. And for video making, film making, all that kind of stuff where you've got one person standing still in a set, they're not going to be moving, you've not got different heights, they can just point the microphone straight at where you are, it's going to be perfect. And in that situation, it works brilliantly and it's great. But you're not going to get that quite often in a church situation. Most of the time we're going to be dealing with different people, different heights, people moving around, people don't stand still, they don't talk into the microphone. So quite often you're going to need something that's a bit more forgiving than that in a church situation. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for church use unless you're making videos, unless you have some kind of a studio set up or something like that where you're going to be using this for filmmaking or video making, then maybe consider it. But otherwise, I would say probably you want to look at one of the others. So moving down the line then, the next one we had was this, the AT835B. As you can see, this microphone is again still quite a long microphone, not quite as long as the other one, but it's still a fairly long microphone. We can compare it to other sort of, these are just standard condenser type microphones, the kind of thing that you might already be using in your church, and you can see how the difference of heights vary quite dramatically for a typical shotgun or line plus gradient microphone. With this particular microphone, I did think that the sound was again very flat, very natural, possibly a little bit less crisp and a little bit less detail, but it was a very flat, natural sounding microphone. I think it sounds very, very good. One of the pros of this microphone that I would say is that it didn't break up quite as much when you moved off axis. I thought the sound from on axis to off axis was fairly even. There was a little bit less level, a little bit less volume as you went off to the side, but in terms of the sound the tone of the sound, if you like. It was very flat, very natural all the way, both on and off axis. There's just a little bit less level as you went off to the side. So moving down again, the 8897, as I say, this is the one that we use in our church, and again, just for your height comparisons, you can see it's a little bit less than that, but still a little bit longer than a typical condenser microphone. So sort of somewhere in the middle of those two. This microphone, again, I thought was a good sounding microphone. Again, I thought it was nice and flat and natural and even. I did think there was a drop off in clarity and detail in this microphone, but overall I thought it was a fairly good, fairly well balanced microphone, not a bad sound at all. And I thought the difference between on-axis and off-axis here was really very slight. I thought there wasn't a great deal of change from being in the middle to being off to the side. It was very even across the whole lot. And that would be characteristic of the change of length. That's one of the things that is going to affect how well it does on axis and off axis. The longer the microphone, the more directional it's going to be. So moving on then, if I compare the Audio-Technica one that we've just done to the Sony, which is the next one along, as you can see, these two, very little difference in height on these two. Very, very similar microphones, similar size, similar shape, similar look. Again, let's just compare it to the condenser so you can see just a standard cardioid condenser, and the other two, the two shotgun microphones, very, very similar. In terms of sound quality of the Sony, I thought it was very bright and clear and crisp. I didn't, however, think it was as flat and natural. I thought it was almost too bright and too crisp and too clinical sounding, and it took away a lot of the natural tones of the voice. It made it sound quite almost harsh and a bit sharp sounding. You lost a lot of the natural tone from the voice on this. I also thought the difference between on-axis and off-axis was a lot more dramatic on this microphone. The signal really dropped off as it went off to the side. And perhaps the final thing with this microphone was I also found it to be quite noisy. There's quite a lot of background noise in there, which again can be really problematic with a shotgun type microphone, because when you're picking up something at a greater distance, you normally have to turn that gain up a bit more to get that level out of it. And if this has already got quite a high noise floor, by turning up your gain, you're just going to be boosting the noise and you're going to get more and more hiss from it. So for one of the more expensive microphones, I was disappointed with this one. Coming down again then, the Audio-Technica 8875R, this little microphone here. Now if we do our little comparison, you can see now we're actually getting to a point where this microphone is very, very similar to our cardioid condensers. These microphones are all going to sit in that same sort of size bracket. In fact, to most people, these microphones would all look virtually identical. If you had this on a lectern alongside any of these other microphones, I think most congregation members wouldn't even notice the difference. So in terms of sound quality, I think this microphone sounds great. I think it's a lot of level, a lot of clarity. It's definitely not as flat and not as natural. It's got less mid-range in it. But we also need to consider the price, and this one is the cheapest microphone of the lot. If we consider the price point that this is at, actually I think it's a good microphone, and I think it could be a good option for some people in some situations. And our final microphone, the AKG C747, this little thing. Now we can see as we look at this microphone, unfortunately I can't stand it up because it's got a built-in cable, but the size of this microphone is tiny. If we compare this even to the last microphone, there's quite a significant difference in the sizes there. And again, if we put the cardioid condenser in there, you can just see just how small and discreet this microphone is. So if visibility is something that's a real concern for you, and you want something that's nice and discreet and really going to hide away, particularly if you've got a very decorative, ornate type lectern that you want to keep looking nice, something like this could work really, really well. In terms of audio quality, I think it's nice and flat and natural. The one downside that I'm sure you heard and I'm sure you noticed was that the level dropped off quite significantly, so there was a lot less level out of this. But we could have boosted that further. It didn't have the noise that the Sony had, so we could have turned that up further and got more level out of it and had a louder signal coming into our system. And I think if we had done that, we would have had a nice, flat, natural sounding microphone without too much background noise, without too much hiss, and it would have done a good job for us. So to round up, I've got 3 mics that I want to recommend to you. These 3 mics stood out beyond all the others. Number 1 was the Audio-Technica 835B. This microphone for me, for church use, was the number 1 sounding microphone. I thought the clarity on axis was brilliant. I thought it was really nice, really flat, really natural. And even as you start to move off axis, there was a little bit less level, but the sound stayed flat and natural right across that range. It was great. However, the one downside to this microphone that you might find is the price. At £340, it is a more expensive microphone, and that might not be something that everybody could go for. Also, the length. Again, you might not want something as big as this on a lectern that's so visible and so prominent. But from an audio quality point of view, this is the one that came to me as the number 1 best sounding microphone, most versatile, best all-rounder for a church. If you want quality, this is the one, and if you've got the budget for it, I would say number 1 microphone. Number 2. My number 2 microphone is the 8897. This is the one that we use at our church. In fact, this microphone belongs to my church, and I think as a second choice option, this is great. The sound quality wasn't quite as good as the other microphones, but it's very reasonable. It's always easy to hear the difference between 2 microphones when you hear them side by side. If you just listen to this one on its own, I think it would sound very good. I think it would sound very flat, very natural. I don't think you'd have any problems with it. And in terms of budget, it's £100 less than the other microphone. So it's a significant saving, and for the quality difference, I think it's great. Just generally a really good, middle of the road, budget-friendly microphone. And my number 3, the Audio-Technica 8875R. This microphone I think is great. It's definitely not the best sounding microphone. There's definitely flatter, nicer, more even sounding microphones. If you want something that's just cheap, quick and easy, doesn't take up any more room than any other condenser microphone, it's a great option. I think it's got a lot of clarity, a lot of detail, possibly a little bit too crisp, but you could change that with some EQing. And at only 165 quid, as I say, the cheapest microphone of the lot, and I think at that price it can really punch above its weight. Okay, we're going to interrupt this video here now. I've realised as I've been editing this together that I've recorded a epic feature-length, massive monster video here. And before I lose everybody and you all check out and everybody's gone, I'm going to break this video up. So far we've gone through, we've reviewed the microphones and I've made some recommendations. Next time we're going to jump back in, we're going to pick up on what do we do with those microphones, how do we use them once we've got the best microphone for the job. I'm sorry we've had to break this video up this way, but I think it's going to be the best way to get this video together. So we're going to pick up in part 2. That shouldn't take me very long to get that second bit together. So if this is something that you've been interested in, you want to see how we can use shotgun microphones in church situations, part 2 will be coming very soon. As always, hit that subscribe button and don't forget, hit the little bell icon, you'll get notified when they come up. Like, share, subscribe, please comment below. I want to know your thoughts. Join in the conversation. If you want any more information, visit our website benstaceysolutions.uk, or you can contact us on social media. We're on all the platforms, just search for us, you'll find us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in part 2.